of all, I want to thank everybody who's still here from this morning, because that's really awesome. I see some people that were on this morning, and I want to thank Deb for all your hard work. From this morning when my husband and I chatted, we told you a little bit about our move to Iowa from upstate New York. Evidently, I forgot everything I was going to say because we used 6 minutes of our presentation, and I left some things out, but one of the things I wanted to be sure to tell all of you that I've been listening to today that are here talking about farming is just how great it is to be back among that. You know, where we live is the rural area of upstate New York from the city. And there are farmers there, but most of what we live around are people from New York City that come up there for vacation and on the weekends, and like a cow to them is a zoo animal. And so, you know, there's farming. It's a lot of organic farming. It's wonderful, but you guys are the real deal. And it's just really, really fun to hear you talk and to be back here. I just wanted to say that. So I already told my story this morning. I work for a lot of different brands on social media. I'm the voice for some different brands, one of them being an organic spice company. Another one is a lodge up in the Adirondack Mountains. I've represented a man and his wife who write cookbooks. So it's a varied thing. But just being able to do that at home has allowed me to travel around and live in another place from where the businesses are located. So I put together a panel that I'm going to introduce you to. Everybody does something really different here, but then we're going to talk about how we built those communities that we all represent, and then how we keep them going. Hopefully we'll get to that part because everybody has a really interesting story that's sitting up here, and I want them to be able to spend time telling you. So this is Siobhan Spain, and interestingly enough, I met her through one of my best friends in upstate New York, who I met online and then met in real life, and she heard I was from Iowa, and she said, oh, one of my best friends is from Iowa, and we just met today for the first time. Oh, another thing I got to tell you guys that are in the tourism business, one of the first things somebody said to me in New York when they heard I was from Iowa was, oh, here we pronounce that Ohio. So you tourism people have your work cut out for you there. And then here we have Genie Maybanks, and she is one of the social media people that represents New Pioneer Co-op from Iowa City. She's got a great story to tell you about how they do that. And then we have Tim Sieck, who is from Skywalk Group in Cedar Rapids and Shores Event Center in Cedar Rapids. So we're all going to tell you a little bit about what we do, and I'll start with Siobhan.
Hi. I guess my journey back to Iowa started, and digital social media started a long time ago. I managed websites throughout my career, like in Santa Fe, at Site Santa Fe, this contemporary art organization, and then I went to the LA Times and did some communications for them, and before social media, which was only about the blogs, I would monitor the LA Times voice, like their reputation on the blogs and whatnot, and I just got to be hooked after that. Kept with technology and online communities since then, and directed an art gallery, came back to Iowa because me and my 6 siblings inherited our family farm just south of here. And we agreed not to sell it, and I was really adamant about us not contributing to the dead zone in the Gulf. And even though we have a small farm, that was just a really big priority for me. We've had a family history of conservation, and my dad helped, you know, get the Browns Woods locally started, and my brother's on the conservation, Polk County Conservation. My mom's just a huge naturalist, and so it's the base is there. And knowing how thankful I was to have the farm and have the land to go out to. And so that led me back to Iowa, and so I'm helping our family farm get on the same page about what we want to do, how do we want to revitalize it, go organic, and preserve it for a place for our kids and grandkids to come back to. So that's been a really interesting process that we're still in. And so being in line with sustainability, I started working at Center on Sustainable Communities here locally as their communications director. And it's been a great organization to be associated with because I like diversity. I like building relationships with so many different people and learning about how there are different ways to live, whether rural or urban or otherwise. So that was a good fit, and I managed their communications as well, and getting their Twitter up and running and Facebook, and we have not delved into Pinterest, partly because I'm a holdout probably. I want Pinterest. I love Pinterest.
Right there. I'm right there with you.
Yes, I love Pinterest. I've been on it for a long time, and I've just seen it kind of like, ooh, as far as like too much branding out there. And I know there's ways about it, but a lot of people don't know that. They go too heavy on their brand, and it is taking away of the experience that I've enjoyed. So I'm kind of, I'm leery, but I can understand the benefit. Anyway, I'm just very tech geek, surprising. I think that's what I've learned from this journey too, is like how much I like to keep up on the social media and what's happening next. And just really appreciate connecting with a whole lot of people, since my interests vary from art, sustainability, farming, travel, and whatnot, and a news junkie at that. So thanks so much for having me.
I'll take one from me too. I'm Genie Maybanks. I work for New Pioneer Food Co-op, and I suppose we're here to talk about social media, maybe how we got started. That sort of story is kind of interesting to me. We didn't really know what Facebook could really offer our grocery store. We're a community-owned cooperative, so the people that shop in our store use our store, and they kind of determine the direction, and we're very, very environmentally aware. We do lots of composting and kind of groundbreaking leadership to stuff like that that's worth crowing about. But people didn't want to just listen to us crow, I don't think. So we talked to a kind of a local expert. His name is Matt Steele. He owns the Little Village magazine out of Iowa City, and he kind of hooked us up with a game plan to go about doing our social media. So we got on Facebook and Twitter, and we decided that we would do 3 posts every day and not overload people, try to keep it to 3, and we would not post prices and specials and that sort of stuff unless it was, you know, avocados are 2 for $1, come in and get them right now. Unless it was really exciting, and if you're a foodie, you know what that means. So for the most part, we're not talking about products per se or prices especially. We're talking more about becoming friends with people and promoting community awareness, things that gel with our image and gel with our people. And so that's really our focus. And one thing that was really a good idea that we did, or I feel that works really well for us, is there's 5 members of our team that enjoy the social media experience. So we each took a day. So I'm not responsible for coming up with material 5 days a week, every day of the week. We just take a day. And if there's something I feel that needs to be posted, I can share it with my friend and back and forth on different days. But that way we get a variety of topics that are being brought up. It's not entirely myopic, where I think that the co-op is about gourmet food, and maybe the person who sits next to me every day really thinks it's about community, sign this petition to keep Monsanto out of what have you. It's more about like keeping each of our individual interests and promoting them from there. So I'll make it a goal every day to do maybe 1 post that has something to do with Iowa City, but nothing to do with the co-op. I'll do a post every day that I try to do something that has to do with food, like a recipe or something that's really funny. Hopefully, maybe those 2 things intersect. And those are kind of goals of mine, to look for those kinds of fun things to share. And so that's what I do, and I enjoy doing it. The biggest compliment I've ever gotten was sitting down with a group of people that were, 30-something young parents of young children, and they looked at me and said, "Wow, you do the Facebook for the co-op?" And it's not just me. I have a great team, but they said, "I really feel like I'm friends with you," and that's a really good thing. I feel like you guys provide really good information all the time, so that's kind of fun.
My story is similar to Genie's. We had rebuilt our website at Skywalk Group about 2 years ago, and as part of that, we integrated a blog into the website. And I have 5 people on my team, and all 5 of us were blogging about leadership development, human resources issues, and like most new bloggers, we would just throw the content out there and hope that someone would read it. And one day, about a year ago, one of my team members said, "How many people actually read our blog?" Those are questions that make you say, "Well, that's a good question. Let's go out and look." So we brought up our Google Analytics, and we had seen that from January through May, middle of May, our blog total, so all of our blog posts had been read about 325 times. And we thought, "Well, that's not so great." So we decided to have a contest. So I said, the contest is all 5 of us will commit to blogging more, and we'll commit to using social media to try to push. And so what happened was, I think it was Jeff this morning that talked about the difference between learning and studying. We all learned. We all learned about how to use your Twitter account and your Facebook account to push content to people. We learned what it meant to have a blog post end up on the first page of a Google search. We learned that if you not necessarily push, but if you comment on a blog article that has a related topic on a Harvard Business Review blog, you're going to get a lot of traffic back to your website. So what happened was the contest ran from May to Memorial Day to Labor Day. We had 323 or whatever I said that number was. It was a small number prior to May. From May to September, we were at about 3,000 blog views. We had people that had gone from 20 and 30 blog views to 500 blog views. And today we have bloggers that are getting 1,000 hits per blog simply because we use Twitter and we use those channels to push. And so the power of social media is there. That's how Kitty and I met, right? I was in my office listening to Springsteen one day, and a mutual friend said, "Oh, you need to meet my friend Kitty." So a couple days later we met on Twitter. 3 weeks later, we were having dinner with Kitty and Mark in Iowa City, and 3 months later, I was visiting in New York as we went to a Cyclone game and an Army football game.
You dragged 2 Hawkeye fans to a Cyclone game. The things you do for people you meet on Twitter, I tell you. So I think we have sort of a common thread in that we all represent a community, like a group. The brand that I represent at Frontier is similar to Genie because it's also a co-op and it's owned by its members. And so when you're the voice of that, you have to try to get the pulse of the whole community and put things out there that they're going to want to read. I think somebody earlier, it was the restaurant people, said, you don't just throw things out there and then not wait for any engagement. Don't just put your special out there. And we sell products, so that's the last thing we do. We don't ever talk about how much our products cost or that we want you to buy them. And another thing that we do is we put things out to our fans, like since essential oils are not a drug that's authorized by the FDA, yet people use citronella and things like that. They're always asking us questions like, what do I put on my bug bites? Well, we can't tell them that. But so what I'll do is I'll put on the Facebook page to our fans, what do you guys use for mosquito bites? And I let them say it. So they get to have that whole discussion. And that works really well if you have a dilemma about what you can and can't say. Just let them say it. So our common thread is that we're representing a lot of different voices. So I'm going to ask each of you guys if you could just talk about maybe one special story that's taken place in your community because of social media that's really left a lasting impression? So.
This is kind of funny following in the morbid tracks of the funeral home, but you know, we're a community cooperative and we're kind of a staple to Iowa City, kind of an edge to the funkiness that Iowa City offers. And one of our cashiers worked for us for 16 years, and he was always the same cash register, and he worked evenings, and he was really an amazing person. He remembered everyone's names and remembered everybody's member number, a genius mind. And he passed away this year, and the funniest thing happened was when I woke up in the morning and checked my personal Facebook page, one of my friends had made a comment on her page, a rest in peace type comment. And I thought, oh my goodness, we've got to collect these so that they can all go one place. So I started an in memory of Kevin Facebook page and linked it to New Pioneer. And we had several hundred people visit the site and leave comments and what have you. 20 different countries, people that had been grad students from Iowa that had moved back to, you know, India and Sweden. I mean, places all over the world, 20 different countries checked in. I couldn't believe it. And I thought that was a pretty powerful and amazing way to show what kind of an impact New Pioneer has on the lives and allow people to share stories of those sorts of things that maybe aren't related to groceries. And maybe it doesn't turn a profit, but it helped us define ourselves and our role in the community itself.
I think Kitty talked about Shores Event Center, which is a fairly new event center in Cedar Rapids. And St. Patrick's Day, we rented the center out for a techno rave, an all-night, all ages kind of a rave. And the postings that you would see from young people who lived in Des Moines or Dubuque or Wisconsin who wanted to come to the event, but they needed a ride, and they had a few dollars for gas money, but they couldn't get there, and so someone would hook them up with someone else who was coming. They could give them a ride. That sense of community was really kind of cool to see people come together and try to figure that out.
How did that happen? No, I mean, how did our time go so fast? Yeah. Do you have a real quick story? I think, do we have 30 more seconds? You have 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, that went quick. I think there's just about the connection, like you said, across countries, across the U.S. We have so much to learn from each other, and I think I've really appreciated that aspect of it. And social media makes it so easy. We have full moon farm parties during the summer, and I posted a sign on the bike trail, you know, circle and arrow, so people know when to exit to get to our farm. And it was so much fun to see my friends from LA and New York and whatnot saying, oh, I wish I was there, you know, to come to our farm party and take that exit. So that's been good, just to revive those connections from all the places I've lived and on the topics that are essential to all of us. And it's been interesting to make those connections where I didn't know interests. So-and-so had an interest here, and this person's in sustainability and doing something we could share. And it's just been very community building that way.
Great. So the engagement and just listening to what your community is saying, that's how you sustain your voice out there. Well, thanks a lot.